All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ryam. We're here for another party episode, as we're going to see how our group goes about securing this area and keeping the attendants from murdering themselves. I'll give you a
Were
short...
you really not recording the entire time while we were discussing how memes are illegal?
No, just towards the end of it there. I've only been recording for like 2 minutes. I didn't know if recording that conversation would be illegal or if your fucking lawyer would bill me.
That's so
So I
meta.
opted to not do it.
That's true.
And it comes full circle.
Yep. Speaking of which, I am your DM for the evening, Scoot, and as we said last week, I'm going to give my players an icebreaker challenge because I was an orientation assistant back in the day. So I would like everyone to introduce themselves in the order of when you were born, starting with the eldest.
Oh, that's me. Wait, characters, right?
Wait, character or person?
Person.
Oh yeah, that's a.
Oh, person.
Okay, I was
never
gonna.
mind, not me.
Okay, this. All right, since I guess I'm the grayest and the gayest, I'll go first. I'm Randall, and I play.
Your business cards, Randall, the grayest and gayest.
Does that mean that at some
Actually,
point
it says
we're
the
going to
gayest.
introduce ourselves in order of the Kinsey scale?
Probably.
Ooh, we can do a next one. Oh,
Yeah,
Next
put
episode.
that on the docket for sure.
I like it.
I'll make a note of that.
Anyway, so Kiki, the Kenku sorcerer, or not sorcerer, she's not a sorcerer, tinkerer.
Tinkerer.
Or yes, that's
Multiple
who she is.
classes we haven't heard about coming in the future.
I think that makes me second.
I think it makes me second, actually. I might be older than the rest of you. I know I'm older than at least two of you. Rob, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Oh, I'm so much older than you.
Rob
Oh
was
my
the
God.
baby.
Alright, so I'm number
Thank you.
2. Because I will be 33 on Tuesday. Ugh.
Almost happy birthday.
I am Deb. I'm playing Tessa, the very large tiefling paladin.
Will, is it you or me next?
31.
I
I think I'm next. 31-year-old Will, who plays roughly 26-year-old Roscoe Barrickson, the warlock and sorcerer.
I am 30-year-old Kate, who plays the 38-year-old Neva, the dryad, half-dryad druid.
Resident actual child Robert, playing the character actual child Nicholas.
That's how he hunts children with his child. If he is one. He knows
Right,
their
what
ways.
you know.
Yeah.
Are you related to actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf?
He's a distant uncle.
Hmm.
Good to know for purposes, I guess. But again, once again, welcome back to Ryam, folks. So last week we had our adventurers came to the Thunderblade City. They did some shopping around. Clock towers were found. We found good deals on armor dresses. And then there was you went to see the Von Lycans, a very well-established and old family in the city. And then we had a bit of a drinking game with Gend Von Lycan, the previous patriarch of the family, although his wife and matriarch did not go. So we are going to start. It is the next day. You folks have been provided accommodations at the Von Lycan estate before you head out to the venue, which is a little ways outside of town. So it is morning. I believe Neva's would be one of the first ones up as you were sleeping outside. So the day is yours, my lady.
Neva wakes up early as usual, which is basically sun comes up, Neva comes up. Ducks back inside, kind of quietly gets ready for the morning because it's a little harder to brush your teeth outside. Not so easy.
Don't think you need to worry about being quiet because there's very loud snoring coming from one of the bedrooms.
Neva decides that, she recognized from when we were traveling on the road that unless prompted, you guys aren't going to wake up early. So she's going to go out and grab some breakfast for folks. Just come back with, rolls, bread, tea, coffee.
Sweet rolls?
Sweet rolls. Neva absolutely has a sweet tooth.
Yes.
Yep. You find that in the kitchen there's a lot of smells coming from there, Neva, as the staff has been up for a little bit of time making what is probably the breakfast for the family and whatever guests happen to be in this manor. And as you walk around, you're finding that you are not the only guest. There are other people here, including... let me check the guest list for a moment. Yes, you find a sort of shortish blue tiefling. Her skin is like an oceanic blue color, and she is sitting at a kitchen table, just sort of has sort of a loaf of bread and is just eating it, while pouring in butter, and she kind of gets it, pours butter on it, takes a couple of bites, but she has a glass of blue liquid next to her.
Neva would absolutely know what that is because there's been more than enough bottles dropped off in Haven at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I don't feel any particular need to like interact with people unless they're looking to interact with me. I will just, kind of quietly get some breakfast items from the kitchen staff.
Okay.
If other people are the kinds of morning people who want to talk, Neva's happy to talk. But she recognizes that Neri likes to wake up as early as she does, so she does not force morning cheerfulness on anybody.
Yet.
She does to her. Look, she did to her students, but nobody here is her student, so it's fine.
Yet. We'll see what happens with Nicholas. You have, like, the kitchen is, as you're sorting through, they tell you, go wait in the sort of dining room. It's a very long table with different chairs. They say hang out in there because breakfast will be served. And they ask you if the servants ask you if you need someone to go up there and give your party a wake up call. Tell them that breakfast will be served soon.
As they say that, you hear the doors open and say, "Good morning, everybody! Man, am I hungry!"
Like up in the room or to the doors of the kitchen.
Into the kitchen.
Okay. In bursts Tessa, cheerful, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as the smell of bacon, and very familiar bacon, Tessa. This is spiced in the doshi way, meaning there's a lot of it.
I smell something delicious. Where can a gal rustle up some grub here?
Oh, the servant, who is very startled by you and kind of looking up, says, "Oh, if you would just sit at the table with some of your other companions, we'll be serving it in probably about 20 minutes or so."
Alrighty. So I go in and notice that Niva is sitting there, and I sit like right next to her. It's like, oh man, I can't wait till you try this bacon.
Neva does scoot a little bit away just because I like personal space. But I'm happy to see Tessa. Good morning, Tessa. I see you're a bit of a morning person as well.
Yeah, it runs in the family.
No.
Mm-hmm.
The next two more individuals come down. They are both tieflings. One is male. He's pretty lithe, though he's wearing robes. He has slightly different horns. His are more ram-like. His skin is a very rich purple. He looks upset that he's here this early. Looks as if he's been required to come here. The other one is another tiefling comes down. Similar complexion to the male. The horns are more gazelle-like. However, one thing Niva automatically notices is her right arm is, first off, made of platinum. And second off, looks like a very high-end magical prosthetic hand. Like, it moves with the flow and ease of a flesh and blood hand, which is fairly rare unless you're a warforged for a prosthetic to be this high end. It must be either very magical or very expensive tinkering. As she sits down, not as upset, but definitely not as happy as the shorter gal.
And do I know who any of these are?
Make a history check, but Tessa would.
I probably had seen them maybe a couple years back when I was a little younger at a family party.
Both of you make history checks. Let's see what you get.
I rolled an 18, Scoot.
You would know.
I rolled a 10. Womp womp.
Yeah, Tessa, your memories. They're important people. You've heard of them, but you've
Different cities.
Seen them, and you remember the snack table at that party really well.
I do remember that snack table.
Neva, you know that these are members of what is referred to as the Hand. They are a sub-ruling faction of a city called Anshin and a place called Doshnarol, and these are 3 of the 5 members. You know that the shorter tiefling's name is Dala, the angry-looking gentleman's name is Bors, and the woman with the platinum arm is named Zev.
I'm still not planning to, greet people unless they want to be greeted.
Okay. At the Kiki, anyone else coming down to you guys? The rest of you folks, I should say, sleeping in.
So Kiki's sleep schedule is completely variable. If she's working on a project, she'll stay up till like 4 a.m, or sometimes she'll go to bed early because she wants to get up and get started to the day. So I suspect on this morning she's one of the later risers, but she'd probably show up in the room like her beak in her notebook, like almost not looking where she's going and like sketching out ideas for designs for mechanical things and so on. Yeah, so she'd probably walk into the room with her beak in her notebook and so on. And
yeah, so Tessa,
she'd probably sit down at the first available table. She'd probably sit down at the first available seat without even thinking about the group necessarily.
Okay,
not out of rudeness.
Tessa, you see Kiki sit with those 3 tieflings. She just kind of pulls up a chair next to the other shorter one, and just sort of sit down, and she's there, and the tiefling kind of looks at her and takes a big swig of whatever that blue liquid is, and just kind of continues sitting there waiting for food.
And I kind of look over and I tilt my head a little curiously, and I tap Niva on the shoulder. I was like, did Kiki make new friends last night? I don't remember that.
No, I think she just sat where she wanted to sit.
Oh, should we do something about it, or just watch this play out?
So Scoot, is this just like, are we sitting at like the actual tables, or are we just like all hanging out in the kitchen?
You are at like a dining room table. They are going to be bringing out breakfast shortly for their guests to eat.
Okay, and there haven't been any indications that anybody has to sit anywhere in particular?
Nope, there is no. The tables at what would be the head and the foot, the chairs that are at the head of the foot are gone. It's only just on the sides.
Okay, then I tell Tessa I don't think it's any problem. There's no real assigned seating here. If any of the guests have a problem with it, they are welcome to.
Didn't want her to feel uncomfortable or anything. But yeah, okay. Bacon.
Very important.
Nicholas, Roscoe, what are you 2 gentlemen up to?
Nicholas has his hood up and kind of stumbles in. Coffee. Definitely not a morning person, but definitely, noticed everyone else getting up and was like, I guess it's time to get up.
Neva did take the time to get coffee and tea together for everyone, even though we're still waiting on food, so you do get a mug of coffee slid down to you as you sit.
Oh, thank you. Eyes are still closed, drinking my cup.
Welcome.
Roscoe?
I think I would come in. I'm coming in, and I'm not gonna like put a hand on anybody's shoulder, but hellos for everybody on the walk down the table until I go sit with my 3 compatriots. So, good morning, Kiki. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Like people I don't know. Like I just say, I want people to get the impression I am the homeowner in any room I'm ever in.
I love that so much, honestly.
Good morning, excellent, good morning. Got everything you need, good.
So glad to see you here.
Excellent,
You won't actually
excellent.
bring anyone? You won't actually bring anyone anything, but you're going to be like, oh good, you have
Yeah, it's more like reading the room, like, am I going to have to work hard to get food? Like, do you need anything? Because if you need something, I'm about to be hungry.
As Roscoe sits, these folks bring out the first round. They kind of place everything straight in the middle of this very long table. There is some distance actually between the 4 of you and the tiefling and Kiki side. So they're they're sort of splitting it up that way. That's where you folks have seemed to place yourselves. What you each get is it's a very much a family style. There is a very big pile of like flat sweetbread pancake type type food. There are scrambled eggs, although they sort of go to Kiki, and then they sort of just really make sure they put that a little bit further away from her, because they don't know how she feels about that. And then
As an anthropomorphic bird person.
they're like, you may not care, you might care, they don't know, but like, this is what they have. So they also bring out this bacon, which they put a pretty large, substantial pile of it in front of both of you. You, Tessa, immediately smell. It smells like home. This is definitely made at a doshi style for the other guests. Roscoe and Nicholas, you smell this, and like the smell of the spices on this thing stings your nostrils. Like you ever had like really hot wings and you smell them, you're like, ooh. A very low key version of that.
Free sweat.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it
pre-sweat.
smells really good, but it smells spicy.
Smells really a lot.
Bad.
Yeah.
Smells like home. I
Smells
gotta
really
warn
a
you
lot.
guys though. Very spicy.
I have to
Can't
try
handle
it.
the spice. I
Yeah.
do. I mean, I got healing spells. Go ahead.
I'm gonna pick up one and like small bite.
So Ventos has decently spicy food. You would probably be fairly used to it, so why don't you go ahead and make me a con save with advantage.
Okay. I'm gonna say that with advantage, you said?
Con save with advantage.
Cool. 14.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that Nicholas is not. He thinks spicy food is really interesting, but is not very good at it.
He's not good at it.
So you eat it, and you ever go to a restaurant, they're like, it's not hot, it's spicy. Well, it's hot and it's spicy. And you're like, oh, and the thing is, it tastes really good, but you're like, oh no, ow, as it begins to burn a little bit, but not enough to, like, harm you.
Okay.
Tessa hands him a big old glass of milk.
I'm gonna down the whole glass of milk and put another piece of bacon on my plate and, like, cut it into little pieces and, like, go get something really starchy to have each little piece on.
Yeah, they also bring out, like, these shredded potatoes with various
perfect.
not as harsh seasoning for you. They bring
so
those out
hungry.
and give them to you. And they also end it with some sausage links that are brought out as well.
Oh, D&D over brunch when?
Serious.
I'm going to
Nice.
Studio Ghibli the fuck out of any food we eat in this game.
Oh, no! Oh, I'm dying!
The combat
So
the
hungry.
combat may be garbage in this game, but the food will be excellent.
You didn't warn me I had to go cook myself 3 courses before I sat down to play.
Well, here you go.
I am okay with this RP.
Oh,
Serious.
like honestly, Ghibli RP, that's the way to do it.
That's how we're doing it.
Loving descriptions of food and
Unless
household
it gets
chores.
us a copyright strike or suit or something, because we were just talking
Wow.
about that.
You know.
No,
It was
abandon
a
ship.
plug.
It's a plug, yeah!
The
It's a
movies are
feature,
made.
not a bug. So, Roscoe, Neva, are you also partaking of the food?
Neva takes some of the pancakes and some green tea. She does not take any bacon.
Roscoe, there's a healthy amount. Like, they want you to be well fed here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take one of the pancakes and I'm gonna put potatoes and eggs and a single strip of the bacon and do like a breakfast burrito situation to try to like contain the heat in other more familiar foods.
Carb shield.
You know, I think it really says something about COVID restaurant
there's a
availability,
carb
how lovingly we're role-playing getting brunch.
I would die to go to brunch right now, IRL.
Oh my gosh.
So first, you ever had that stuff, what's it called? Orange juice in a carafe? Oh, fuck yeah.
So exotic.
Roscoe, what you see as you make this sort of burrito is that smaller tiefling. Again, she's just shorter. She's not like a hobbit sized or any. I'm sorry, halfling sized or anything. Tolkien state. She's staring at you. She's staring at you, and she looks down at her food, and you see her take like a larger, like sturdier pancake, throw some eggs on there and some of that bacon, and then roll it up and eat it, and it's as if like a light is kicked on. She's like, holy shit, I've never
just
thought
kinda
to
like-
do this.
raise mine in a little bit of a salute to them and start in.
Is at this point the one with the platinum arm?
Roscoe, do you then say, "We who are about to dine salute you"?
Oh.
I feel like I should take away inspiration for
yes.
that.
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, and I do.
So it is 9 o'clock.
He's actually He's pinching the bridge of his nose.
It's not a full face palm.
That's actually pretty deep in, all things considered.
Yeah.
20
Also,
minutes
that's
in,
what she
We
said.
made it fully through the intro.
You did.
Like, not bad. Not bad.
Good job, guys.
We've matured.
Have we?
Kiki, as I was saying, the tiefling with the platinum arm just looks over to you as she seems like she looks at her friends like, you know, does anyone know the bird? Like, did one of you pick up a bird last night? And they're all like, no. And as I imagine you're eating and sketching kind of at the same time, and she just sort of leans across the table and she goes, "Hello, friend. I am Zev. Who are you?"
So Kiki has just been casually, randomly grabbing whatever food's closest to her and like wait for it, eating like a bird because she's so
Very
excited.
peckish,
She's
I see,
actually
yeah.
Yeah,
Aw.
exactly. But she'd probably chirp hello and realize she hasn't wound the box at her throat that helps her to vocalize, her squawk box.
Mm-hmm.
So she would like chirp and then realize that and take the key at her wrist and wind it a little bit and she would say, "Morning." And then she realized that someone introduced themselves or asked the question, and she'd kind of actually look up for her notebook for the first time. And then she would say, "Kiki. I'm Kiki." And she
Hello,
would look.
Kiki. Are you a guest of the Von Wykens?
Yes, guest. Yes. And if she's spotted, because Kiki's pretty
it is
aware.
From her shoulder blade to the tips of her hand is platinum mechanical arm.
So Kiki would put down her notebook, her eyes would go wide, the food would be completely forgotten, and she'd be absolutely mesmerized by the mechanics. And so Zev would have Kiki's complete attention now, and she'd be like, and she was trying to figure out how to ask about her arm without being rude because she is riveted and like just
Much like the arm.
Heyo.
Hey.
The puns tonight, folks.
We all inhaled to like make some sort of response to riveted.
So she probably she nod at her and but her eyes would be completely on her, not in like a creepy way, but just like, oh my god, that's
so cool. And so Zev will notice that, and she goes, "Oh, you are curious of this," and she waggles the platinum fingers at Kiki. And she goes, "Yes, this is something of myself and my friend Boris, who is just kind of head down in his plate, just like really having that like, why am I alive? I'm awake, but at what cost?" Like, mentality.
Oh, actual mood.
Yeah. As she's like, "No, we made this for myself after my sort of an initiation trial."
Kiki would nod again, completely almost forgetting to blink, and she'd be like, "Your arm, so cool. So you make design." She's like, "I make things," and she'd start pulling out random wires and tools, and she wants tinker or cred. She wants to be make things, and then she's like, her mind would race in 5 different directions, and she'd want to sketch the arm, want to be socially polite, want to study the arm, and all at the same time. And she's like, and she would probably just softly applaud, "Oh my god, it's an amazing piece of work." And look at that. She goes, so intricate, so clever, and she would almost forget to talk.
Would you like to see it closer?
She just sort of makes a little noise, not because she can't vocalize because she's wound her squawk box, but she's just excited. She basically does whatever The Keku version of Squee is.
I really want Kiki to get like to upgrade the squawk box to like a soundboard so she can do like the or something.
100%. She'd be like, yes, please.
She whiffs
Yes,
her
yes,
grenade.
please.
Bruh.
except it's Roscoe's voice.
Roscoe just,
She
bruh.
can repeat anybody's voice pretty much.
That means Will has to voice the squawk box
That
when
would
it
be
goes
awesome.
on sound effect mode.
Yeah.
So she would assume that's an invitation, and if Zev's not like immediately close to her, she would move like
Yeah, you see, she
and
comes
plop
across
down.
the table, but as you're doing that, you see Zev take her like flesh and blood hand. She hovers over about where her like a clavicle would meet the shoulder, and she's hovers over it, begins speaking Draconic, and she recites a spell as Kiskur Sara, and then you see the arm separates from her body, and she grabs it with her hand very slowly and places it on the table. And you can
So
see
Kiki's eyes.
there's a platinum
Kiki's-
there's a platinum like plate where the flesh is, where it's kind of fused in, but her arm is now just sort of sitting on the table. And for those of you that are like looking at this, you don't know how that arm works, but you know it is worth a literal fortune because it is made of platinum.
So Kiki's eyes almost roll back in her head in like technological ecstasy. She's so intellectually just riveted by this, like so excited, and she's like, "Okay to touch, okay to sketch." And
Sketch, but
she'd
please
look at her.
please be very careful with it. It's very it is powerful, but it is fragile. Do not tinker. But you may sketch, yes.
Okay, Kiki quietly puts back a wrench and a
No.
pulling it without
Slowly puts back in belt. Oh my gosh.
like she had a tool in each hand, almost like people dive into food with a fork and a knife. She's like,
Like Tess is eating the bacon right now.
she gets her quill and she sketches and will look up to ask some like questions about the mechanic's power source, and she'll just compliment it back and forth about like how exquisite the design is, and so like she's going to try to talk like peer to peer. So she's a young tinkerer, but she knows like a masterwork when she sees one.
Right. So as Zev will talk to you, and she's happy to give you some of the mechanics, she tells you that it's powered by a blessing from the Platinum Dragon that was bestowed upon her in her slightly younger days, although it's hard to peg down exactly how old she is. She and Boris Minich begins telling you some things, but eventually the mechanics become even more complicated for Kiki to keep up with. Not that you don't, like, you know that this is, you sort of get it, but it's beyond you right now. Like, you don't know how they're doing this. But the rudimentary stuff, you're like, oh, okay. Like, that sort of makes sense.
So this is exactly why Kiki left to become adventurer, is to just encounter new, designs and ideas and concepts. And so she's thrilled. And she doesn't mean to ignore her colleagues, her companions at the other table, but she's just so laser focused on this that it's just consumed her world.
So at this point, the tiefling that has been drinking the blue liquid is watching this happen, and she, you can see her go, nerds, as she turns to the rest of you, and she looks at Tessa, and there's a moment of like almost realization as she's staring at you, Tessa.
I don't notice she's staring at all.
Yeah.
I am occupado.
The rest of you can make perception checks to see if you can see this.
I have
Can I
actually.
do perception checks, dude?
I would
That's
like
what I
you
get to
to.
make?
Yep.
I've also done the sandwich thing
22.
with bacon.
Just
making
wrapping
it,
it in
like-
bacon.
So yeah, there's egg in the middle, but it's covered with bacon.
So Neva
I'm trying to
notices.
resist looking at the world, so I'm not even gonna roll.
Okay. Roscoe. Roscoe is really you're tucked into this meal, but Neva unsurprisingly notices that this other tiefling is in the process of pretty much identifying who Tessa is to her and what she might know about her. She's gathering information. Like you can see the wheels turning in her mind. Excuse me, she says as the tiefling calls over to Tessa, like very politely at the moment. She's not yelling yet. I don't know if Tessa would hear that.
Tessa's like in the middle of taking a swig of her half hot chocolate, half coffee, and she's like, "Oh, hi. You look familiar."
Yes, my name is Dava. I am from Anshin. You are... I know you. I don't know where I know you, but I know you. And I know many people in Doshnaral.
Oh yeah, well I'm from Anbal, so I spent a lot of time in Anshin, so we may have crossed paths at some point.
You know Neri, yes? And Balinor?
Oh yeah, it's my aunt and uncle.
That's where I know you from. You are the huge one that ate all the time. And that family eats, so that is quite a statement.
Oh, so you're in Anshin. That's where I knew you from. Okay. Party maybe 5 years ago.
Yes,
no,
something like that.
Okay.
But then Tessa remembers that this is the harbor master of that city.
Ah, okay. What brings you here? Why a little far from Dodge?
We are. King Rin has sent us to parlay with more of the folks here. We're trying to get to know our new allies a little better. It's been a few years and relations have been good, but political necessity, and unfortunately Razalesk and Merida, who usually do these things, are occupied currently.
Ah. Oh, also, I do want to point out that since I do live in Dosharal, technically Tessa does have the same accent. I just, as a player, can't do it.
In case you're wondering.
Yes.
He's just bad Draenei from WoW. That's all DCs.
I am. I can't do it. Maybe at some point I'll make an attempt, but anyway.
That's fine. This helps me keep all the thousands of characters in my head on track, so this is why I do silly stupid voices.
South Jersey, you know.
All the dwarves, eh? So she's like, are you... Jib Jibs. Are you going to the soiree later? Or are you here, like, what brings you to the Von Lycan family?
Oh, me and my friends here are, we're going to the party, but we're here as contractors to keep the peace, as it were.
Tell me, the gentleman over there, and she points to Roscoe, what is his deal?
And Tessa kind of looks over like, what do you mean?
In the Alluran sense, she says to you.
Tessa kind of thinks for a moment, and she's like, I don't know. We've only actually been friends for maybe, like, what, a week? Big game time? Like that.
He looks very friendly, and perhaps we will see you folks at the party, but unfortunately...
I mean, he certainly is friendly. Go for it. I will be your literal wing woman. Don't worry.
But
now, like, you are a couple chairs away as this conversation is happening. Like, you're not next to each other, just for reference. So there's a good chance that Roscoe has heard this.
It's not like I made any effort to control the volume of my voice.
No, I'm sure it's her normal loud self.
You yet in this campaign made an effort to control your voice?
No.
So, Roscoe, I'm going to say you don't need to check. You're hearing them talking about you.
I'm going to do what I'm going to call the Roscoe Smolder. Let's break that down real quick for the folks at home. The Roscoe Smolder is where I look completely away. Do you know in Tangled?
Yes,
when Flynn Rider's like, time for the smolder.
We're gonna get sued.
Except while I do it, do you know in vaguely movie about Tangleosity? There, I fixed
hair
it.
Movie. Lots of hair.
I do the smolder, except while looking away, I do cast thaumaturgy to get sparks flying, literal sparks flying in my eyes.
Okay, I need you to roll for Smolder, Will, and I would like you to roll a charisma check.
Check.
Let's see if you're awake enough for this.
No advantage for the lightning or anything. That's fine.
No.
It's okay. Here we go.
We'll see why in a moment.
Oh!
Oh, that's gonna be
What you
perfectly.
Tell the folk who
it's
you
delicious.
rolled, Roscoe. I
It's
think they may have
the
guessed.
most.
This is
It's
the best
maybe
scenario.
in my history of playing D&D, my most delicious natural one ever.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
So it had
which
the
with my
same
modifier brings me to an irrelevant 6. Irrelevant. It's a 1.
Okay, so also this Roscoe pulls out the smolder. He does it, and you get the effect. But you see, as you look at her, Roscoe, her thumb goes to her mouth, like right in the kind of teeth gap here. You can see the slightly sharpened canines that she has, and you can see her like lick her lips. However, lightning also courses through her eyes, and you hear a thunderclap in the background. And you might say she has hungry eyes at the moment.
It's gonna get real.
Oh, I overshot.
Or undershot?
Oh dear.
And she
Honestly, don't think you need to try that hard.
she looks at you and she goes, I'm sorry, what is your name, my good sir? And she's locked onto you like a predator and prey.
I've forgotten a little bit. I want to say Roscoe, but we're gonna have to check that.
I'm gonna call you Sparks.
Sparky.
Okay.
You're going to the party, right? And again, like the tongue just goes the other way back across the top row of teeth.
I'm working with Tessa. Tessa's my friend. We're working.
Wonderful. I will be sure to see you there. And she gets up, and she saunters around the table, gives you a wink, and then moves off and in beyond the dining room, back towards where maybe her room is. You assume she's going somewhere.
I don't know what she had for breakfast, but I know what she's having for lunch.
Kiki, you see Zev as she's going over some finer points with you. The thunderclap stopped her, and she's looking around as if something is wrong. She sees what's happening. She leans in. She goes, "That fucking bitch is so extra. You don't even know." And she goes back to explaining the arm.
Neville
Kiki would
looks
be
over at
briefly-
Roscoe and says, "You know she's gonna eat you alive, right?"
Oh no, he
Wrong, but
definitely
that
will.
makes me both terrified and very excited. And they're in that order on purpose. That's definitely the order they are in my head.
I mean, if she
You're
breaks your hips,
thinking
I can
that's
fix
okay.
She breaks your hips.
I can fix them.
Kiki might temporarily look up at the lightning or something because she thinks that ooh, power source, and then she realizes it's some social interaction thing, and she's like, back to the arm.
Breakfast wears on. There's a couple other
I'm just doing
random.
this every time Tessa's like, "Oh, I can handle this."
Breakfast wears on. A couple other folks join you. Just sort of folks. They're polite. They eat. Food is refreshed as time goes on, but eventually you folks get your fill. And Zev kind of looks down at you, Kiki, and goes, "I do apologize, but I'm going to need to put that back now. We have a few things to accomplish here in the city before we come to the party, but if you're going to be there, I'd be happy to continue this chat, as you are a delightful journey person. I don't know what your rank is if you're a guild."
Oh yes, studied Tinker Clock Shop. She would just throw out random words. She's so excited. And she's probably going to keep following and tracing and sketching the arm as she's reattaching it and walking out. And she goes, "Love to talk. We'll talk more. Yes, yes."
Right. Except this time you see her mutter an incantation, and the arm, like a magnet, just pops back on, and you hear a locking sound as there's some magic along the seam, and she starts to move it again just to kind of get the feeling back into it.
So Kiki has probably had her like goggles on this whole time to study the arm, and she kind of puts them back up on her head, and she nods excitedly, and at Zev, and she's like, "Love to talk more, talk party."
Yes, no. When you're at the party, please come by when you have a break or something. I would love to. Boris and I, when he's awake, and the guy's just going, there are like 5 dead coffee cups next to him, and he just is not. He doesn't look like he's going to stop. We always love to encourage new tinkerers and minds because, someone's going to have to replace us eventually.
Kiki actually looks over and registers Boris for the first time.
Other dude.
She realizes that he had something to do with the arm, so she is like intrigued, but she was so laser focused. So she's like, "Oh, hello, goodbye, hello, bye."
Goodbye, small bird. Hello, small bird. In whatever order is most appropriate, as he just puts back the coffee and follows his companion out the room.
Kiki's gonna finish her. She's forgotten about food. She's forgotten about everything. She's just like she wants to write down her final thoughts about what she studied. So, yep.
All right. So with breakfast done, eventually, Patel von Lyken comes to you, and he comes out to kind of talking to some of the guests. He comes over to you, Neva, and your group, and he goes, "I hope you've got enough to eat."
Yes, thank you. It was more than enough.
Are you sure? We have plenty of food here. We normally have to feed minotaurs, so the chefs are making a little bit more than, they made a little bit more than we might need, but they do like to eat. We had this one young lady here a while ago, Mudra. That was a challenge. It was challenging for the chefs. And he says it like he's impressed. He's like, I just...
Respect, yeah.
What a woman.
What a woman. But we wanted to give sorry, I'm confusing the accents now because I'm doing too many of them, just like I did in that other campaign most of you were in.
The best was when we were doing the WtR campaign and my character had an Irish accent, and you kept like listening to my Irish accent, and it would seep into all of your like weird Russian Arabian accent.
Yep. So Patel, the werewolf, he goes, I wanted to give you folks a chance to get anything else you might need in the city, do some last minute shopping, because we will be heading out probably around midday or so.
I believe at present we have what we need. We would like to, if possible, get a better sense of where everything will be taking place, where are some appropriate areas to steer people if we kind of need to disrupt heated discussions and want to give parties a place to cool down separate from each other. Having some idea of where we could easily steer someone would be useful.
Of course, we can take care of those things when we get there. I of course, will show you around. Have you seen my father?
We did last night. He took us for a drink at the pub. He did arrive home safely, but we haven't seen him yet this morning.
You see a expression on his face that's, when like the older generation gets to the point where they're kind of like teenagers again to their children who are now like the primary runners of the family. That's where he's at. He's like, he didn't buy anything, did he?
Beyond drinks? No.
All right, fine. Talk to him about that again. But yeah, we'll be leaving this afternoon, so gather your things from the room, whatever you need. There will be wagons in the courtyard around noon.
We've stayed relatively packed, so it will not take us long to be ready.
Grand. We'll see you then. I have a few things I need to attend to. If you have any more questions, my wife the matriarch is already down there with some of the staff, and we'll be catching up with them.
Understood. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So he goes off. Breakfast is cleared. You folks have... Do you need... Anyone need to do anything in the city? Get anything else? Supplies for yourselves?
I'm going to pop into town and buy some fancy clothes. We were too distracted by Jib Jub's adventure yesterday.
Do you want to go back to the same guy?
No, I'll just go to because I don't need fancy armor or anything.
So you just go to like a tailor.
I'm just looking for just like some basic tailored clothes.
Okay, you find a basic tailor, and as you walk in, you hear him scream, "I'm sewing over here! Get the fuck out of the way!" It's another dwarf.
Perfect. I'll look for. I'll do the thing where I just like kind of stand there and like look at the clothes on each side until someone notices that I'm there.
So you hear the voice again. Hey, Beanstalk, how you doing?
Hi. Pretty good. I just need what do clothes cost?
What kind of clothes you looking? You looking for nice clothes? You looking for like gutter clothes? You looking for like egg clothes? What are we doing here?
I'm going to the Von Lycans party, and I don't want to stand out, but I don't want to stand out either direction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just kind of stand there and like
he's just sort of
laugh
thinking,
nervously at him.
Yeah, he keeps going. He's like, yeah, as he's clearly doing some sort of tailor math in his head.
I just nod, and at some point I start going, yeah.
All right. How you feel about cummerbunds?
For it overall, they're kind of neat, kind of fun.
Well, that's $2. I don't know what those are. We got some nice shirt and pants over here.
Sounds great too.
Okay.
Nick is like very off put. He was like, "Oh, like he said a word I know, yeah." And now he's just shook.
He does bring you over to another. He goes, "This is Grem, and he'll be helping you over here." Grem, see you to the nice human.
I give him a thumbs up.
Yeah. Grem turns. He's another slightly younger dwarf, and he looks at you and he goes, "Right. What are you looking for?" I heard him say cummerbund. Did you want one?
He said that, and I sounded excited about it, but I was just kind of caught up in it. I don't want to look too fancy. I'm helping out with security at the Von Lycans, so I just need to not look like a total slob.
Right. Well, we can get you something then. And this dwarf pulls together a sort of pants, shirt, jacket type situation. He also shows you something that's more wizardy roby. So it's not super standout, but it definitely is more...
A little touch up?
Yeah, it's a little bit nicer than that, because instead of the jacket, you have...
Nick's going to be Suede.
Yeah.
For sure.
So he will do that. He goes, right, that will be for the whole thing about 2 gold.
I'll give him... would it be ready, like, now, or like is there a
we got
tailoring?
some light tailoring for you. You're a little taller than most of our folk that come in here, or you're taller, or you're very small, and you see that a lot of the model, like the dummies, are minotaurs. So that he's like,
okay,
you're not. They have to resize this.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give him 4 if we can have it done in the next 2 hours.
Oh. Lad, it's 2, and we'll have it done for you in about 2.5 hours.
Okay, that'll work.
Sure.
I give him the gold and shake his hand.
Right. Yeah. So you go. Anyone else need anything?
Neva's already got her stuff.
Cool. So Nick, you go. You go back in about 2 hours. You grab your stuff. They have it boxed up nice for you.
Okay. I'll leave him. What's an appropriate tip on that? 5 silver.
Cool. He's very happy. He takes it. Roscoe, anything?
Start thinking tactically. I think we did that really well with the bullywugs of kind of each playing our part. And one of the things I can do is, without wasting any kind of energy, and I power up my mage armor again of the kind of ghostly light display Roman armor. I can do this for anybody who's not wearing armor without any real cost. So if people wanted that, it also doesn't have to look like this. We can have it be more subtle for the event. Just trying to start mapping out what would make sense and who might benefit from that.
I will say that my regular armor is not quite as is not appropriate for this particular endeavor. That being said, I do have a kind of formal. It's not a guard outfit exactly, but it's something that's appropriate enough to wear at court with recognition that there may be fighting. So I should be fine, but thank you. We may want to see if Nicholas or Kiki are so protected.
As role-playing as I can get to say. One of my fancy warlock things is that I can cast mage armor without using up a spell slot. So if anybody wants it, I can just mage armor all around if people have need.
How long? How long does that last?
8 hours. It's not concentration, so just have some mage armor.
All right, actually,
So you have like a
just checked to see
separate
if mage
resource?
armor was better than my current armor, and it would be. So Neva would be fine with being mage armored.
Yeah, so it's
Very
13 plus dex. I was actually kind of thinking if I thought maybe everybody else might need it or want it. So I'm just gonna let myself reflect a little bit so that the mage armor will still come up as a very faint light display across people, but it'll be more a similar style to Tessa's breastplate. So this is going to become kind of our unit uniform for the night.
Oh, very nice. I have mage armor, but if you can do it without cost, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Save those spell slots.
What's up, invocations? What is it called? Evocations? The
Is
warlock
that a
thingy.
ritual spell?
Oh, don't you start with me.
So actually, as a tinkerer, Kiki's armor class, her dex plus intelligence modifier. So she's actually has just slightly higher than mage armor would give her. So she's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's plan that before the party starts, or in a pinch, if we feel like we're about to get into something, I'll pop it on Nicholas and Neva
Sounds good.
for this series.
Dope.
Cool. You gather your things, and you hop on the wagons that take you down a little further south, but west is the direction I'm thinking of, towards what Roscoe would know is a place called the Tri-Sands, which is a long stretch of mountains and desert that bisects the continent pretty much in half. You just know you're heading that way. You're not going to be too near the Tri-Sands because more going that way is where some nastier things tend to live. And you're heading towards the woods, but you're still a good distance from it. But you are heading. You would note you're heading that way. Eventually, you do come to the venue, as it were, which is on the map for you folks. So you're given the basic layout. You're there, and you see that Coca, the matriarch of the Lycan family, is already there, setting things up, kind of do the decorating, the organization, making sure things are arriving on time. Patel shows up, they embrace. He goes in and kind of takes over what she was doing so she can come to talk to you folks. And she's like, welcome. I'm very glad to see all of you here. You've made it, and my husband didn't get you killed on the road, which is very good.
Well, quite glad to be alive, certainly.
Right, there are a few things we wanted to point out that kind of layout. And she takes you into it's a very big, sort of long house type building. So fairly square, big roof, pretty good acoustics inside. But as you come into the main entrance, which is right here for the people who can see this, it leads you in. Going to the main entrance, kind of a coat check area, place to kind of wipe your shoes, get that kind of done. Maybe if it's going to be some nasty weather, to get the outer gear taken off, dry off. She then walks you through a lounge, which is sort of like a chill out room in a club. It's basically away from the hustle and bustle of the main room. There's lots of places to sit and talk a little bit more quietly. She leads you through the lounge into the main hall area, where you see 7 tables set up in like a Pac-Man formation. So there's definitely around the main dance floor. You see a stage up in the upper left corner of this very squared off room. There are 2 bars at the top and the far side and the near side of the right side. And then at the bottom left is a very large, or many, many large tables where you think food and buffet is going to go. So, and then you also see 2 doors that lead into a kitchen.
In the layout of the room.
Yep. The other thing is there are a number of openings on the right-hand side that leads out to a patio with some chairs where people can kind of sit and relax.
It's a standard wedding setup. I like it.
Yep. You can see there are people in the kitchen that are beginning to prepare things. They are curing meats. They are kind of marinating things, bringing a lot of non-perishables in. They haven't really started the brunt of the cooking yet, but they're sort of pulling everything in. There are also a surprising amount of kegs coming in.
Is there any coffee?
Is there any coffee?
Yes.
Yeah, the staff has a pot that seems to be constantly being made and filled. So
I'm gonna stick my head into the kitchen and be like, I'm so sorry. Can you spare a cup?
they're like, sure, and they assume you're a guest. They just give you one.
That's fine.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you. If there's any I'll look over by the dishwasher and if have they already gotten started for the day?
As far as cooking and stuff, yeah, they've just begun sort of preparations. Those things that the recipes that are going to take a while, a couple of days to do. They've started those. They haven't, they've prepping things that can be put in boxes of holding and held over.
Cool. So I assume there's just a little bit of dishes that are in the sink ready to go. So I'll step over and toss in a quick prestidigitate while I sip my coffee to thank them.
Yeah, they nod at you and they're like, "Oh, Caster, cool. It saves us some task." And the kitchen staff continues to go about their business as Coca takes Neva and the rest of the team into the main room. And she goes, "So, Neva, what do you think?"
This look fairly straightforward to negotiate. Would you prefer that we be continuing to circle, stationed somewhere in particular?
That depends, she says, on your social graces. She says it just like that as she's looking at the group.
Kiki shuffles a little bit.
Understood. And I had asked as well your husband for some ideas on easy routes and exits by which to separate guests.
Of course. Well, there's always the patio. They can go out there if you need to separate people. There is the lounge. Is a good place to go for there. And if they're being really shitbirds, there's a lake not too far from here. Probably a good throw. And she points out a window on the western wall where you can see there is a sizable lake over there.
Kiki starts doing calculations like physics about
just how much trebuchet would we need to build.
That, and she's blast radius and length to she's
Kiki, as much as I'm tempted, please do not build a trebuchet while we're here.
Yeah, I can just yeet him out the window.
Oh,
that would rather go against our missive to handle matters quietly. Let's avoid yeeting people out of windows if at all possible.
Got it.
And
Kiki gives a commiserating look to her to Tessa. We tried.
We tried.
And Coco looks at you and she goes, "That's what I was saying about the social graces."
Don't get me wrong, there will be some of them that I'm sure I'll be tempted to trebuchet out a window. I just don't manage to resist the urge. I think that we have more than enough time to get on the same page before the event itself happens. And I believe that we'll each serve a uniquely capable role in this particular job.
All right, then. Your quarters are south of here. If you saw those buildings that came in, it's more dormitory. Some of the other staff are going to be sleeping here. Of course, you'll have the evenings to yourself. We'll be doing stuff during the day. If you could, help out where you can, as I know you'll be hopefully not too bored until it's party time.
Understood.
Okay. She leaves you to kind of go to tend other things as you are all gathered now, sitting at one of the tables that has not been, the tablecloth is not on it yet, it's still pretty bare. You're all gathered around it, and you're free to plan as you will.
All right. It's a little bit of a sorry.
I was trying to say we really do need to be. I don't want to say on our best behavior because we're not here as guests, but we are here as staff, essentially, making our job to be relatively invisible. That does not mean that, if a guest wants to talk to us that we ignore them, but we should be as close to a backdrop as possible rather than a focus of conversation.
Kiki hears the word invisible and she starts sketching an idea in her notebook for an invisibility machine. She's not sure.
And by that I mean we want to be not noticeable in the sense that we are not of interest enough to notice. That being said, most of us are somewhat interesting looking. Tessa, you may have noticed you draw some attention.
I was kind of hoping that at least if I was here and people could see me, I can be a wallflower, but if they see me, maybe that might deter some people from starting a fight.
Yes, I think your visibility in this case will be useful. Yes, some people may comment on it, but more in the sense of, look how strong of a house guard they have.
Exactly.
Roscoe and Nicholas, I think you are quite capable of blending in and looking fairly normal, and I apologize, I don't mean this as an insult, but I think you're capable of looking uninteresting in this particular capacity.
It's a very important skill in the lecture hall.
What are you wearing, tweed?
You clearly didn't have very observant professors if you thought that you could get away with something like that.
Well, no, looking uninteresting so they don't call on you come up to the blackboard.
I am well acquainted with that type of student. And Kiki, you are, my dear, unfortunately and fortunately, unique and interesting and noticeable.
Kiki lifts her goggles up and looks at you for a second, like, what are you talking about?
Particularly when you find something new to get excited about. And so, since you're going to be visible regardless, I think it might be useful if you and Tessa were rather patrolling together or sticking together throughout the night. Obviously, we'll all be within the same room, and so we'll be relatively within contact. But I think the two of you paired up would... people are going to notice you regardless, Kiki. If you are with people who are trying to be less noticeable, it's not going to work quite so well.
How tall is Tessa?
She's like 6'4", 6'5".
She's like a foot taller than Kiki.
Yeah,
pretty much.
She's a quarter orc, so she's got a lot of height to her.
Yeah, so Kiki looks at Tessa and kind of looks up and looks down and then she nods like, okay, yeah, okay.
I think we'll do great as a team. Kiki, let me see your most intimidating snarl.
And so Kiki actually reproduces the snarl of an animal that she heard once. So perfectly, so you hear this
so good.
That is terrifying.
And she looks very
amazing.
She looks very proud.
That's the energy we need.
So her mimicry lets her do that. So she looks very pleased with it.
All right. I want to do a little. Sorry? No, you go first.
Will sketch the whole room. She'll sketch the whole room in her notebook just to think about exits, yeeting trajectories. Tessa needs, she points of impact. So you'll see all these physics equations, mechanical notations, but just so she's okay, she's got it. That's it.
go outside and like see where the grass is softest outside each window for like minimal patron damage.
And I could boost Kiki too if she needed like a little bit of height.
She might.
The possibilities are endless.
Wombo combos.
Yes. You do the fastball special.
So
So
Happens every
cool.
game.
it's a flawless strategy. Why would it not happen every?
Yeah, no. It could never go wrong.
Absolutely no issues.
Nope.
No. I'm going to pop into the back into the kitchen and head over to the dishwasher who I helped earlier, and give him another little hand and just chat with him a little bit. And I'm looking to kind of get that line into the dishwashers are always the guys who like they might not have the access to the drugs, but they know who in the kitchen does,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And those guys know how to like not get caught, and they know how to. They're like super tied into the scuttlebutt of the manor, if you will, right? So I'm gonna try and help out in the kitchen a little bit and get as much basically intel on like patrons who have come before who have been problems, anyone specific to look out to, anything like, oh yeah, you know, this hallway by the bathrooms has really bad visibility for security usually, so like people always get like felt up there, so keep an eye on that. Like anything like that, like sort of the internal scuttlebutt from the staff who's worked there for a while.
So they tell you as you ingratiate yourself to the staff a little bit. They tell you the thing they're sort of excited to see if it happens is between guest list is between Octa Lombardo and Valentin Karai. He tells you that he's super excited for that because they are rival merchant families. Like they hate each other.
Ooh, okay.
Like they found the staff has a poll going about which of the 5 heirs is gonna like basically cause the scene. Because they're like, it's gonna happen. Like there's no way it won't. And he's betting heavily on them because Octa is gonna be here, and she is the daughter of Belladonna Lombardo, who is the like one of the most powerful trade lords in lords in Ventos. You know that name being from Ventos, like she is,
right.
That is a powerful family. And Valtin is the heir to House Karai, who is this continent's like big trade family, and they are constantly clashing, not usually in open warfare because it's more they clash economically. There will be skirmishes, and there's definitely some subterfuge that happens, but
Sure.
they hate each other.
Skullduggery.
Yeah, the Karais hate Ventos entirely. Like they would remove them. They would remove not the city because it's like they don't mind the people, but like they would remove their economic power if they were able to. Totally.
In the kitchen betting pool, what are the odds on those two getting on a fist fight, and what's the over/under on who would win?
Oh, Octa would beat the shit out of Valtin. Like hands down.
Okay.
Yeah, the Lombardo.
So there's no betting pool on that, but what's the chances of the fist fight happening in the first place?
They don't usually come to that. And since Lombardo is so heavily favored, if you're looking for a fist fight, that money's on Vox Verk, who is probably going to get hammered and fight somebody. They don't know who. And one of them comments that they might as well just like throw one of the chickens and hit someone like, on one of the tables, and that's where it's going to happen. Like they generally don't know. Like he won't go after the Von Lycans because he's not stupid. But he will fight, and he won't. He's not going to go after like the elderly guest, but he will fight somebody given the chance.
Okay. Cool.
And then there's also a good chance that he might actually punch out Dari Sung, because the House Verk and House Sung have a long history of clashing. Because within the Federation of Houses, which is where those 5 are from, the Sung are very aristocratic, and the Verk are not. They're very they have a workaday vibe, and those two butt heads constantly. And most people credit that it's only through House Karai's intervention that they haven't actually gone to war.
Okay. Cool. That is excellent intel. So yeah, I'll finish helping up in the kitchen and then share that with everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, watch out for these people. Give them a little bit of the background on the sort of the house drama for anyone who wasn't aware of it.
Worthwhile. Well, we've got a little bit of time to do like an actual security sweep. Just check entrances, anything look out of place, see something, say something, kind of look around.
Sure. Everyone give me investigation.
Definitely.
Give me perception or investigation checks.
Also, trapdoors.
Oh yeah.
There's a spike
I'm gonna
trap in
do-
the middle of the dance floor.
Well, you never know what could be in the storage room. Just saying.
I'm gonna make you
Not
some
great.
more.
It's for bad dancers.
Oh no! I rolled a 1.
Tessa
Oh,
rolled
my
one,
lord.
locks herself in a closet.
I'm gonna use this. Again.
Got a 17.
I don't know
She's
how
at
I
the
fit in
door.
that closet, but
It's a big closet.
Oh, it's easy. You looked at it and you were like, "Huh? Wonder if I could fit in there." Yes, but you can't get out.
that's absolutely what happened.
Here we go. 18 for Neva.
So Kiki, you're walking by checking stuff out, and you hear Tessa like,
Kiki knocks back. She's like,
Like,
I kinda
oh,
do like
secret
a-
messages.
Kiki's listening for shade and
Natural
a
20.
That's
haircut.
what I did. I don't know if it transmitted.
Oh. She goes, 2 bits. And then she walks away. She's like,
Only to find out the
Message
door's been
received.
open the whole time.
yeah, right. It's push, not pull.
It's push, not pull. Oh.
and you don't figure that out until Neva comes over and just sort of does it the
Neva
correct way.
walks by, hears the knock, tugs the door as she goes by.
Hello?
Everything's safe in here, guys. These coats aren't hurting anybody.
This room
We
is
might need a
clean.
few more
Give it an
hangers.
ocular pat down, and it's good.
Clear.
So there's actually Roscoe that finds this. So most of the doors are like fairly secure. You can lock them if you need to. The only sort of questionable ingress is at the stage, because there are doors leading outside that you cannot easily see because it's behind like the curtains and the accoutrement back there.
What? The curtains?
And as Roscoe, as you walk back there, as you got the highest, you see like, oh yeah, like these are entrances and exit that you, unless you station somebody back here, you're not going to have eyes on reliably. Also, the musicians are probably going to be coming in and out using those doors. They don't like walk through the party.
Okay.
Good to know.
When the musicians start to show up, I'll try and go make friends with them. That's another subgroup of people who my little urchin self tends to get along well with.
Okay. Anything else you folks would like to do as far as planning where you're going to be, what you're going to do?
I think Kiki will sort of ask, like, she'll ask if there are signals that we want, like, keep an eye on this person, like, or, like, distract them, like, are there things, or is it just going to be, like, I can't remember, did we establish if we have message or anything like that, or are we going to be like,
I
you're
don't,
right
unfortunately.
here. Yeah, just so we're going to come up with some, like, code or shorthand or hand
That's a
signs
good
for
idea.
like I keep an eye on this one, or like cut this one off from drinking, or or like this one's fine. Just a few, like, come up with a few basic signals for like the most common thing. Obviously
I guess
shit
we
goes down.
I guess we could use like our fingers for if there's a problem at a specific table. You can just kind of hold up like which table.
Oh, okay.
Not bad.
And it doesn't really specify if they're not at the table, but you may need to workshop this.
Something about like table 4 or whatever. Like, okay, and then we could maybe clarify with another signal about something like that. So just a few basic things like potential trouble, watch this one,
Yeah.
things are wrapped up, like just 3 or 4 things. Kiki gets excited by code, so she's all about this.
Some signal for me to like, please send message so I can use real words.
I may do the eye thing where I hold like the 2 fingers close to my eye and then outward. Like,
Yeah.
as a visual for like keep an eye out on this.
Tessa, always subtle.
Neva does ask the house staff if they would be able to place just like 2 small houseplants by the doors near the stage.
Why, they ask?
Druid reasons. Druid
They'll help me
stuff.
keep an eye on things back here.
Okay. And they go and get some plants and put them by the doors.
Sweet.
They
Well,
like
once they're
bouncer
put over there,
plants.
Neva does basically like she does ask the plants basically like, "Are you treated well here? Like, do you have adequate water?" And plants aren't complex; they give you back like happy, sad, or thirsty, more or less.
Ah, yes, the 3 emotions.
So the plant rolled a 1 on its insight check of you. And it, put this. It's very talkative as it gives you a manifesto of its grievances against the bourgeoisie.
I mean, that's a good thing because if the plant is this talkative with me, I should be able to get a good information from it later.
Mm-hmm.
Are we
You'll get
establishing
information.
that
I don't know if it's good.
that plants are inherently trusting? Or is just this plant inherently trusting?
I thought you were going to ask if plants were inherently communist, and I was like ready to like argue for or against it. Like, oh yeah, of course, because roots? I don't know.
Hashtag not all plants.
These 2 seem to trust Neva pretty well.
I mean, same, but...
Alright, that was the only thing that I really needed to do to get ready.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, my last staff connection thing is I'll just ask them like, hey, like if you see anything like fucky that you want us to take a look at, like don't hesitate to throw a roll at me or run into me or something.
Oh, do you know magic? One of them asks.
Yep. I give him the finger guns and message him. Yeah.
Oh, can you come look at this?
Yeah.
Okay. They bring you out. They're looking around as you come out, and there is a brick of marijuana, but like it's shaped like a brick.
Okay.
Joke, but there it is.
Yeah, and he's like, we want to make sure it's not like laced with anything like necromancy or anything. But like that to be dead, like to live, it's that's not how that works. But they seem to be concerned about it.
Yeah.
Technical question, guys. Does purify food and drink work on weed?
Yep.
Not a question I thought I'd be asking tonight, but here we are.
I don't know enough about weed to tell you that.
It's a plant, but
It's a plant.
We eat plants, so
You can ingest it, right?
You can.
Rendered free of poison and disease, so it's really basically your definition of what poison is.
Yeah, that's a
But not magic.
weird
You
question.
wouldn't ingest it.
anyway, sorry to derail.
I feel like it might negate the effects of something like
Alcohol.
I don't know, like ayahuasca or maybe even like psychedelic mushrooms, where like some of the effect is basically like your system is fighting a little bit, but like I don't.
I feel like
All right, so here we go. Based on the fact that current medical research does not suggest significant long-term issues as a result of taking weed, like at least just once or twice, chronic stuff there's a little bit more research on. I would argue that it does not poison you, and therefore, for a single-time use, purify food and drink would not negate the effects of.
It'll get you good. All right.
But we'll get rid of any poison that could be laced in it that would hurt you.
Yeah, clear out the
Yeah,
arsenic or whatever.
I would say that.
Okay.
But they're asking Nicholas this.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a look at it. I'll do a magic over it by casting light in my hand while I look at it because I know weed. And I'm like, all right, is it fine?
Make an Arcana check for me.
An Arcana check?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. 17?
It's been dyed, like with dye. That's it.
Okay. To make it greener?
It's purple.
Oh. Thus their confusion.
Mm-hmm.
Purple haze.
Okay.
Thank you for that setup. Thank you for that spike, Randy.
I'm gonna like mumble a few phrases and like look really thoughtful about it for a little bit and like
It's like
nope.
Yin Sid and that fucking Disney thing. It's like water
Yes.
coming up out of the thing.
Be like, nope, just a marketing thing. Seems pretty good.
Yes. That was purely for show, but this is fine. And they're like, oh, cool. Do you want some?
Sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah, they roll you a doobie. Because that's what the kids call it.
How
Oh yeah.
Roll for
Sure.
Ruby.
I'll slip it in my pocket. I'll be like,
They do a very poor job of rolling it.
Okay,
Every time somebody refers to like rolling a doobie, all I can think of
Doobie,
is like
doobie.
scat singing, like doobie doobie doo,
Oh, yeah.
doobie doobie.
I think of a very out-of-date cop trying to bust kids for selling weed. Hello, youths.
A Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Howdy, youths. Got a doob today?
I am
Wowie
average
wowie.
youth student.
I'm looking
How
for some
do
of
you
that
do,
sticky
kid?
icky. What?
Yeah. I'll roll in my pocket and be like, I gotta stay clean on this job, but really appreciate it.
Yeah, they're no
And
longer
then I'll-
interested in you. And they're like, cool, thanks, man, goodbye.
All right, I'll take off. I'm pleased with this output.
Okay. So everyone is, are you finished with your security planning?
I don't think we'd established who was going where. So my suggestion would be for Tessa and Kiki to be kind of the more visible patrolling group.
Emotion, you mean?
Yes.
Patrolling and moving.
And then for Nicholas and Roscoe to either be together or separately, be kind of just blending in more. And that can be either... basically, Neva's going to suggest, for the most part, we should be moving throughout the room so that we're able to see things. If you find a particularly good vantage point and want to stop and watch from there for a little while, totally fine. Neva's going to be walking solo because she recognizes that she draws attention. She's going to suggest that Nicholas and Roscoe, either separately or together, aim to be the ones who blend in the most and become least noticeable. Neva does, however, at the end of kind of explaining all this, turn to Roscoe and say there's really only one table or one group of individuals around whom I think you're going to be a little bit more noticeable. And that's mostly because Bella really wants to sleep with you.
Table 3. I looked it up. I know.
I have a
I
question.
know.
Should we separate tables 4 and 5? Like, put them on opposite sides of the room?
We
Like,
are not in charge
physically
of
separate?
arrangements and can make
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I physically can move them.
Right,
Good note.
Not insult anyone. Us moving them might cause diplomatic issues.
Doesn't
Kiki
hurt to
lifts up
check
the-
with. Yeah, can we actually check? Where's are the seats? Are there already like placards down, little formal place settings?
No, nothing is set up at the tables yet. There's like a number to denote what table it is.
Yeah,
Nothing like there's no silver rating. You're still a couple days out from the party.
I'll go
Kiki
check
looks
with
at
the
the-
host
Yeah, we look at
about.
the
Sorry.
Kiki looks at the table numbers and she just like makes a gesture like we could just move the numbers, right? But then she hears about diplomatic incident and she's like, oh.
Please don't do that.
I love the chaotic energy of having both Tessa and Kiki walking around. This is only going to end well.
I didn't even think of moving the numbers. I just thought of moving the
That's what I love. You're like, I will physically lift the tables, and Kiki, an intellectual, is like,
Intellectual.
That's like, there's an old story about, like, when you're recruiting, like, rural youth for the military, you go out and look for, like, the strong guys with the plow or whatever, and ask for directions to the nearest town, and you recruit the ones who pick up the plow to point.
wow.
Tessa would pick up the plow.
I would pick up the plow.
Wow. It's canon.
Good lord.
Anyways,
What have I done?
I would like to check with the host and see if there's plans for specifically where Vaitlin and Okta are sitting. I want to make sure that they're not, like, either next to each other or in eyesight of each other. Like, I don't want them to be opposite or adjacent, Yeah.
And I would suggest that at all times, somebody should be on that side of the room.
Yeah, agreed. Like,
So,
in
yeah,
that
like,
4 or
like,
5
three-
space
Three
near the
people are
patio,
being over there for a time.
for sure.
I'm just gonna do that.
That's a good call, honestly, yeah.
Tessa's kind of scoping out the little, like, with her back to the wall of the patio, in betwixt tables 4 and 5, just kind of like, all right, this might work.
Are any of our undercover agents going to be seated at the tables, or are they just sort of be chilling around?
I
Are
don't
they gonna
think
pretend
so.
to
I think more like trying to, like, mill in with the staff or the people who are dancing.
Mhm.
I was actually thinking, especially because I'm now on red hot alert with one.
That's really good.
Maybe it would be helpful to have somebody just keeping an eye outside, and if I was kind of like stationed on the patio for when people stepped outside, and then did like occasional laps of the perimeter.
Yeah.
That also puts me on the side of the room that is the potential hotspot, so I could jump in and be helpful quickly as well.
That's reasonable.
Love that.
Okay,
For sure.
That'll be my plan.
I'm surprised you didn't want to be stationed in the coat closet.
I'm
I already
sure
checked
we'll
that
get
out,
there,
guys.
bud.
We're good.
I'm sure we'll get there. You said there was enough room for one Tessa? Yeah, we can make that work then.
For one Tessa, that's a lot of room.
That's what I'm saying.
That's enough room for activities.
Wow.
Neva will plan to spend. I'll aim to be more on the upper half, the northern half of the room, partly so that I can check in with our guard plants every so often.
Yeah.
But basically, when she's standing, she'll be standing at the north end of the room, but more of the time she'll be circulating.
Okay.
Kiki will ask Neva to ask, because she's a little too shy about this, but like, have all the staff been screened? And like, like, are they all like long-standing staff? Are they bringing in unknown staff? Like, or is it just like, do we need that level of knowledge?
My understanding from the brief we were given is that that's beyond the scope of our work.
Okay.
However, the DM can certainly correct me if I'm wrong about that impression.
You can certainly ask.
If we have a chance then to ask one of the Von Lycans when they're checking to make sure that we have everything we need, I'll ask if there's any need to screen staff additionally, or if that's already in place.
Yeah, because as you come by, would it be Koga comes by, excuse me, and she asks you how things are going. She's checking in with you as a lot of the kitchen stuff is winding down for the day because they've pretty much done whatever they can do. As the day is starting to wane towards dinner time, and the kitchen staff is basically trying to make food for everyone else, is like for tonight's dinner.
Excuse me.
So, what can I help you with, Neva?
Just something that came up while we were discussing possible kind of preventive actions. I assume, of course, anyone who works for you on a regular basis is quite well screened. Are there any other background checks or security screens that you need assistance conducting on newer staff or individuals who are contracted for the wing?
Most of the normal staff, some of the guards that are kind of on the wider perimeter, the kitchen staff is fine. The only ones we've had to really hire were the bards. The band is not regular. Not regulars.
Are they not from around here?
They're not a local band. They're a local cover band or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're a newer band. We wanted to help give them a bit of a boost, you know?
It's considerate of you. Do you, if you feel that you've adequately screened them, I absolutely trust your judgment. If you would like us to speak with them as well, we're happy to.
Well, we were trying to get this wonderful bard. Her name was Satara, but we just could not book her. She's very busy over on the other continent. So we had to kind of get them. But if, I wouldn't be mad about it, she says to you. But
Sure, that's not a problem at all.
But I believe they've scampered off to probably get high, she says, looking through one of the doors and seeing them head for the woods. And they have a stagecoach that they've painted that they seem to be hanging out in. That might be their that's like their van, basically.
Okay.
They're like clouds of pot.
Yeah.
Coming out of the sand,
Yeah, they're hotboxing that stagecoach. She's like, Bards, what are you going to do?
If we go and talk to them about half an hour, they'll probably be more inclined to talk to us.
Yeah, but I don't know if you'll get anything from them.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose we'll wait till they come down again.
Yeah, but you folks have clearly been doing enough for today, so, it's about quitting time for most of us. So, dinner will be provided to you as part of the package. And then, tomorrow you'll have the day for yourselves to do whatever you want until the rehearsal the next day.
Thank you. We're very much looking forward to helping you make sure this is as smooth an event as possible.
Yes, politics demands, she says, kind of looking around at things and beginning to fiddle and fidget with different things. The rest of the time wears on. You are served a dinner. Pretty light fare, filling but light. And then you know that you have this evening and tomorrow to yourself to do with as you wish. You are free to go wherever you would like on these grounds, and there's beautiful wooded areas surrounding you with a very large lake.
To go out
After dinner, just to the edge of the lake. I don't sneak off. I just kind of, when dinner's winding down, I head out. I'm gonna make a little put together a little, the little boats out of sticks and leaves for the sail.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a little boat, and I'm just gonna kind of find a spot to kind of sit by the side of the lake, and I'm gonna let the boat out, and then I'm just gonna play with control water and kind of just RC boat this little guy around while I have a cigarette.
That's very cute.
Neva's gonna go out into the woods because woods.
Oh, thank God, trees.
I'm pretty sure Tessa spent at least half an hour trying to figure out what exactly the rehearsal is for. What are they rehearsing? How to dance? And then after dinner, I think she's going to walk around the perimeter a little bit and then head to her lodging and light a candle and write her adventure journal for the day.
And Nicholas?
I'd like to. I'm gonna try and see if any of the hired musicians are out and about any evening walks or anything. Any opportunity to go make friends there?
Yep, one of them, a tiefling woman, is laying out in the grass, and as you approach, she does not. She's Donald ducking it, basically, just no pants. Has a shirt on though.
Nice. I'll give her a friendly wave and try not to try to pretend not to notice.
Yeah, she's not completely naked. She does have underoos on, but those pants are just not there.
Sure. All right. It's not the style Inventus, but
Well,
who am I to judge, right?
that depends on what establishment you're in, to be honest.
Fair. But yeah, I'll give her a howdy. Hey, nice night, huh?
Yes, it's very wonderful, and her eyes are just glazed over, mostly from drugs.
Okay, yeah.
But she seems coherent and like she's aware of you because you see her recoil a little bit when you show up because she doesn't know who you are. And she's like, oh, it's that guy that was walking around. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll give her. Oh, you with the group that's playing tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm the. Oh. With the sticks that does the hitting.
The drummer.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, very cool. So I'll continue chatting with her for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
It is clear to me that there's no useful intel to be had here.
Make a persuasion check because you might be able to ask her. You're not going to get a lot of information, but you might be able to get something.
Sure. You said persuasion?
Persuasion.
Okay.
Or deception, because both of those will work at the moment.
It's +1 either way. I'll go with persuasion. It's more in my nature. 11.
Okay. What do you want to know, Nicholas? Because you got about 2 questions you think you can get out of her.
The temptation is so high to burn a question on do you want to hook up, but I will wait on that. First, I will ask, not ask directly, but try and pull information on sort of just like the band's background. Like, are they well established? Is there anything weird going on?
Yeah, it's not. Although there's nothing crazy. Like they're a band that's been that recently got together.
Okay.
They were really excited to land this game with Yvonne Lycan because they have, and she seems very proud of us because she goes, look, we have this half-orc girl that has a crazy voice. You have no idea. Like it's going to be so cool. You're going to be blown away when she sings.
Awesome. No, that's sick.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I get the vibe that like no one in their band, at least as far as the drummer is concerned, like no one's been like acting weird leading up to the event or like.
No, well, she goes, well, like everyone's weird because we're all nervous, but like what is weird and like what is nervous, and then what is, and then she snaps out of it for a second.
Sure.
And she's like, no, everyone's really nervous. It's the Von Lycans, man. Like, what if we were like their house band and we got to play at their house? Whoa.
That'd be pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel reasonably okay about this. I'll burn my second question on do you want to hook up? In a twist of fate, to give the credit for this joke to Deb, but
yeah.
In a twist of fate, I will try to seduce the bard.
Yes.
She's like, she looks at you. She's like, look, I don't really know you. You're pretty attractive, though, so nothing inside the pants.
All right.
There are no pants.
Yeah, right.
I kind of take a look at her legs and like raise an eyebrow at her. I was like, nothing of the pants.
She's like, oh, fuck.
Pants. Your pants are mine.
All right, nothing below the waist. She says, correcting herself.
Give her a thumbs up.
And I was gonna. No belt.
Oh, belt.
No, there we go.
And,
I'll have a lovely evening.
And we will veil that as she just sort of leaps on top of Nick, and they have a wonderful evening of making out a la camp style.
There we go.
Morning.
And that's all that happened.
That's all that happened.
As far as the PG-13 side of this podcast is concerned.
I can't wait for
They
the
have
band
one
to actually come on, and
headboard.
that girl isn't there. She's not part of the band. She was just some woman, some pantless woman wandering around.
Oh no!
Drugs,
This is
having a good time.
You look at the drummer, and it's like an old dwarven man, and you're like, oh.
Oh dear.
Did I
Oh,
smoke that doobie and just forget about it? Was it that
Hey,
good?
Am I sure that it was not laced? Hey, I know.
he just winked at me?
Right. Hey, I've got an inside line to Lauren healing magic, so it's not going to end too badly.
Well,
Do I encounter anybody while I'm in the woods?
Yes, you do, because they did not do well on their stealth check. You see a gentleman riding. You see two people. You see a older-looking human gentleman and an older-looking female human upon Gax, those large lizard creatures, mounts that you've seen in the city and you've seen around here. There are some at the crossroads. And these two are bickering back and forth like siblings about that they're lost. And she's like, Tim, you never fucking asked for a direction. He's like, I know where I'm going. And she's like, we're on a completely different fucking continent. But you like, they are trouncing through the woods like Gimli in Lord of the Rings. Like, you are the elves of
quiet.
Mirkwood.
They're not moving. All right. Does it sound like they're trying to get to the Von Lycan estate?
Yeah,
or
they're trying to figure out how to get there, but it's weird because you're not that far in the woods. Like, they're not that far, but they're far enough that you can't see the building and the opening. Like, they're just that out of range.
So I will not make much noise, but I'll kind of just like come out in front of them and say, "Excuse me, were you trying to find the Von Lycan home?"
Whoa! And the guy pulls a blade, and she's like, "Stop." Yes, we were.
You're not far off, but I'm not sure how you got off the main road exactly.
Yeah, how did we do that, Tim? And he looks at her, and she's like, and he says, "Granadell, not now."
If you'd like, I'd be more than happy to lead you to the estate.
Oh, great. He says, "Do you want to ride?" And he points at the back of the GAC, where you could hop on if you wanted to.
No, but thank you. I'll walk. It's been a long day. Walking helps clear my mind.
Wonderful. He goes, "By the way, my name is Tim Mim," and he extends his hand to shake yours.
Neva reaches up and shakes his hand. Pleasure to meet you. I'm Neva.
This is my sister, Granadell, or we call her Granny Mim, and she's like, "I'm younger than you," and he's like, "Can't tell, can you?" And she then bops him with a staff, as siblings are wont to do.
Does Tim have both?
Whether or not you disclosed your last names to me, I think I might have guessed that you were related.
How'd you Yeah.
Sibling love.
Yep. You lead the Gax to the opening, and you can see the road in the distance that you came down, and she just Grenadelle looks at Tim, and Tim looks kind of sheepish, and he's like, "Look, we went on a great adventure," and we went on a great adventure, and she's like, "We were in the forest for 8 hours." And he's like, "Yeah, but we're here now." And she's like, "Shut up," as she rears her gang forward as they head towards basically to check in and get somewhere to eat and clean off and get some food. And he's like, "I'm not hear about that one."
Very likely. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. He clicks his gack, and they move forward. All right.
I would like everyone who is currently listening to the podcast to know that there is a purring cat sitting in my lap currently, and it's the best.
Aww.
The best around. Okay, so any guest kind of bungalows to accommodate different staff where you are, like in a different, not quite summer camp style, but just places where you got a bed and you have a little bit of privacy. So Kiki and Tessa are put into one, Roscoe and Nick are put into another, and Neva is in another room with no apparent roommate, although you think that might change in time. But I have a feeling your ass is in a tree somewhere.
Neva is absolutely in a tree.
Right. So night falls, and that's where we will leave this session. As tomorrow, you folks will have your mandated day off, and then we'll find out what the heck this rehearsal is that has Tessa so confused. So from all of us here in Ryam, folks, thank you for coming, and I thank once again my lovely players, and we will see you all next week.
We all
Bye.
thank you, Scoot.